Welcome to Lessons from Sports. I'm your host, Wayne Partello, and welcome to Las Vegas. I'm getting some work done out here with a partner, but taking a moment to introduce the latest episode of the podcast that I recorded just a couple weeks ago with Dr. Don Davis. Don's journey is incredible, from NFL player to NFLPA executive to now consulting and taking all of those experiences and helping many others. Just the stories that Don shares, I just cannot wait for you to hear them. I got so fired up in this conversation. It went so well. The conversation was going so well. I actually threw out the format of the podcast and just kept talking to Don. So sit back, enjoy it. I can't wait to hear your feedback on this. And without further ado, here's my conversation with Dr. Don Davis. It's a Friday morning recording, which are always my favorites because I get to do it from a home studio and I'm relaxed and ready for today. But so excited to have Don Davis here. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Absolutely, man, my friend. It's great to be here.
I love, first of all, I have to, before I even introduce you and your resume and all the things, our connection through Chris is just incredible. And I know one of the things in your career has been kind of giving back and coaching and all the things that you've done with athletes. And I don't know if you know this, but Chris and I met because I was his Little League coach. And so that's where we met all those years ago.
Full circle.
Isn't it crazy? Yeah. And so he actually was one of the kids during COVID that reached out to me and was like, I just need a little bit of advice. I want to do things differently and, whatever. And now he's living a completely different life and I'm just so happy for him. But dude, thank you so much for taking the time. I mean, from player to the PA to now stepping out to do your own thing. What an amazing ride.
Thank you. Yeah, man. It's life momentums, about moments that leads to momentum, right? That eventually can turn into miracles, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, there aren't many players. I mean, we're going through it. I mean, I worked on the team side. Every team has a player rep, but to take the leap from being a player to going on the executive side of the PA, what sort of propelled that for you in your career? What made that something you wanted to do?
I didn't have the dream to play in the NFL. I didn't. I was from Kansas. I never saw a professional athlete. My father's education was very important. He hammered it into my head that you, as a black man in this country, education is the ultimate differentiator, right? He didn't have a degree, so he was always on my grades about I go to scholarship. Like you got to go to college, and I ain't paying for it. So those are two things that I knew, right? But I really credit him, man. It was like, so I never really thought about being a professional football player until I got to the University of Kansas. After 2 years, two guys who played right in front of me got drafted in the first round. I was like, wait a minute, we can get paid for this? Okay, I'm in. Sign me up.
That's amazing.
But yeah, that trajectory took me into the NFL, and it was year 4 where I was exposed to the PA. And at that time, in the PA, NFL Player Association, NFLPA is what they do. But a lot of time for the vernacular is the PA. That's what people. That's what the players know as. So like the PA comes in, and I remember being a player, and dudes like, it's the PA. And I remember that feeling. But then the guy who was the rep, who was leaving, was like, "Man, I want you to come over here and get involved in this." All right, I've been a leader. I've been in leadership positions my entire life, and so that's how I got exposed to it. But then realizing the importance of leadership representing membership, and you lose a lot of times the opportunity to have a voice if you don't want to get involved. So that was big on me. So it's just fortunate that 2 years after I left the game, when I retired, that there was a position open. And again, it wasn't like LinkedIn was big then and all that. You just word them out. Right place, right time. I heard they always say, "What, you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready."
Yeah.
Still remember that time. It just, life intersects and it's a moment, and I was ready for it, and then it capitalized, and it was 16 years, promotions and all of that. I'm sure we can get into some of that, but
of course.
That's how I did.
That's amazing. One of the things that you said there that has been very big in my career. So when I got into radio for the first time. It was the first time I'd ever met someone that made six figures. I
Right.
didn't even know that was a reality. Like, I had
That's right.
no idea, and I met this guy who was kinda like me, kinda a little wacky, a little crazy, but, like, he could
Yeah.
sell, and I'm like, "Wait, he makes how much money?" Like,
Yes.
I didn't even know that was a thing, and then I met someone who was a CEO, and I'm like, "Wait, we can do that too." I had nobody like,
Yeah.
that exposure that I always say it to some people, it's like when you lift your head up and you
Yes.
could actually see what's possible and get like, it changes everything in your life.
Everything. A lot of times we're hampered by our experiences, and they're from the past, right? The way we've been raised, the things that we've been brought up, our family of origin, our culture, and then we go through our kind of this education along the way, this education,
Mhm.
experience. And what that also oftentimes, particularly from a U.S.
Yeah.
Standpoint, we think we can educate around experience. But you said the word, it's exposure.
Yes.
And I always say this, exposure creates expansion. I love how you
I
did
like
that. This is
that, I like that.
I'm exposed to something that is different than my experience,
Right.
maybe even different than my education, or it hones in on the education that I was getting. And now I can dream. That's again, I think I don't think you can dream past your exposure. I wasn't exposed to the NFL. I
Nope.
didn't have any dreams about the NFL. You know what I was exposed to? A difficulty from African American men who had struggled navigating without a degree. That was an
Right,
experience,
right,
and I
and when
was
we talk about
exposed to that. Yeah,
generations always want the next generation to have it
everyone.
better than them, and we're probably a little like, about the same age, and our
Yes,
parents' generation, the only way out was a degree. That was
that's
the
it.
o that was it because their generation and what's amazing now with, like, technology, you talked about LinkedIn and
Yeah.
these kids, without even if they actually look, they're getting exposed to good and bad, but the
Yes.
ones that wanna find the good are being exposed, and that's why I started this podcast because I get
Yeah.
to interact with amazing people that expose me to things that I'm
Yes.
like, "Gosh, if the young kid from Boston that
Yeah.
didn't know any of these people that now could just virtually interact with a Don Davis and be like, 'Oh my
Right.
wait, that's
That's it.
real? That's it.'" And so that's been the mission
Yeah.
of this project is like, I get, through friends and whatever, get to meet amazing people. And it's like, if we can
Yes.
expose people to look, the good and the bad, right? Like you were on the team side and we'll talk about it, but then you went to the corporate side and
Yeah.
there's a lot of similarities of the drama that goes on in all of those situations. I
Absolutely.
had this question. It wasn't my question, so I'm gonna give credit. My
Okay.
old boss asked this question. It was an NFL player who was, probably the 53rd guy on our roster when we were at the
Mhm.
Dolphins.
Yep.
And my boss said to him at the time, "Man, when you're done, whenever that is, you're gonna make one hell of a salesperson. You can sell, like, you just have
Yeah.
this charisma." He's like,
Yeah.
"When you're done, you call me. I would love to find you a job and, like, sponsorship or whatever." So he played for a few years, and he played on 3 organizations. One was the New England Patriots, one was the
Mhm.
Miami Dolphins, and one was the, Indianapolis Colts, and he asked the question, he said, "You were on 3 teams.
Yeah.
Was there one of those teams was a championship organization during the time you were
Yes.
there?
Yes.
Is there one thing that was different between that and I'm gonna ask you the same question. You played for a lot of teams. You were on a
Yeah.
championship team. What was there a difference in that organization versus others?
Yes. Um, it's preparation, but it's preparation that has a focus and knowledge and awareness, a practice that you game plan, you practice everything, every detail. And instead
Mhm.
of one person, one side, one individual or group knowing what they are, how they do, everybody in the entire organization knows if it's third and long, plus 40, minus 40, these are all terms.
Yeah.
This is what we're thinking. If we're if it's before the half, this is probably the methodology. If it's after the half and we're looking to score, this is what we're looking at. And you know that. And you rep it and it's repetition, repetition, repetition.
Mhm.
And everyone again, which is that, classic, do your job. And you're held accountable for that standard, right? But I think also it's the team aspect and the veteran team. We had while I was there, they're my championship years,
Yeah.
we had a veteran team. And we had a lot of guys on that team that are doing amazing things. The fact that Mike Vrabel is the head coach, no doubt it. He was that way when we played. We sat
That's right.
he I said here, he sat there. How many conversations we used to have? Like, he's
Mhm.
the same. It's all
We
it's who he is, right? So
Yeah, no, you're
yeah,
100% right. The when we boil that down on the corporate side of things, it's alignment, right? If
absolutely.
everybody knows their job, but they know that everybody else is gonna do their job and they're gonna be held accountable to their job, and I'm gonna be hel and we get aligned on this mission, right? So even you went 3rd and long and all these different football, but you go
Yes.
bigger in the organization, we're gonna be a championship organization, and on the business side, we're gonna do those things as well.
Yes.
Like, that's what it's all about. I mean, it's pretty simple.
A absolutely, and that's why I built D3 Leadership
Yep.
Consulting. That's who I did. It's based on a framework, and most leaders and organizations are guessing. And it's off of the leader that I knew, how I've been leading, instead of using a system. I love you said that. It's a system for excellence, and you said them all. It's a three-tier system. Awareness. Gotta know what the hell to do. Most importantly, self-awareness. Gotta know who I am and who I'm not. Never confuse those two, right? But be
Correct.
comfortable and confident with both of them. It's
Mhm.
alignment. We gotta be aligned. If it's personally our morals, our values, our vision. What are we doing? We got to be in alignment.
Mhm.
And then the last one, accountability. Got to execute. Got to be accountable. And that's what I think separates those championship teams from those who aren't, right?
Mhm.
This time of year, we just started, they're starting in the NFL, man. Everybody's starting their OTAs, off-season training activities. Everybody's 0-0. Everybody going to Super Bowl right now. You can
Yeah.
bet on it.
Hope is high.
Amazing. Couple of teams, you'll see them. They'll be like, "Oh, this team, woof, they'll look great in shorts. They'll be out there throwing. Like, look at this quarterback." Uh, Then they'll start training camp. Oof, got to get the pads on. They ain't to be like, "Oh,
Mm.
this team, he did well." And then get quarter one through that first half of the season, like, woof, this team's 4-0. They came out of nowhere.
Mhm.
Can you sustain that, right? Sustained excellence over a time period. So
Yeah.
anyway, yeah,
No, that
that's
is it's
part of
and
a
it's really
framework.
funny you talked about Mike Vrabel sitting next to you. I have
Yeah.
this little quick aside. So my kind of ascension through Boston, I was a DJ and I ran all the DJs around Fenway Park, and one of the
Okay.
bars was attached to Fenway. In '07, when the Red Sox made their run, they heard the bass from the clubhouse of the club and they all came in, right? And so it
That's
was really
awesome.
cool. So all the players were in my DJ booth, and there was a player back then who was sort of a utility player named Alex Cora,
Okay.
who he sat next to me and he was like, all right, play this song for that person. Hey, play this song for that crew. Play this. And whether it
Yeah.
was a hip hop track, a Latin track, a
Yeah.
country song, and it was for that crew, the
Yeah.
whole team knew it because
Yeah.
he was the clubhouse DJ that made sure everybody enjoyed everybody's music. And then you
Awesome.
fast forward and you go, of course that guy's a manager. He was the glue holding
He's the
that championship team together. And I got that unique perspective of
yes.
he knew what every group needed to hold them
That's
together.
right.
And there was nothing like when a Latin song on that, that Jonathan Papelbon did not know the words to that song, but man, he
Right.
sang it loud and proud, and he had his
That's right.
arms around. That's magic. That's a
That's right.
team. That's a
Great.
team when you can
Great.
separate everything out and get in there.
And do your role, right? You got to roll, but then they got to come to the awareness. And then they talk about like the statement, greatness leaves clues. You are somewhat who you've always been. If at your core you're not disciplined, and I've seen this,
Mhm.
people assume professional athletes, oh my God, they must be the most disciplined players. They are. And there's some who eh, not quite as disciplined,
Talented.
but they're a talent, right? But that's where your talent and your work ethic, character, all these characteristics, they're okay, right?
Mhm.
Talent can only take you so far, right? So now it's about those habits and those disciplines and
Yeah.
what are you doing? Who are you at your core, right? I couldn't fathom ever missing a workout, which is why 50 something years old, I never miss a workout, right? But
Right.
other people are like,
Right.
sleep in the
And a
day, I
10-year
don't
in a
feel like
long
it.
career in the NFL. That's not easy to do. Sustaining that.
Sustain. And look, there's that, and though, and this is where I tell some folks like, I'm human. There are days, yeah, I wake up, I feel like crap. I don't want to do it.
Right. Right.
There's calls I don't want to make. There's conflict I don't want to get into. But guess what? It's not like life is not all lollipops and rainbows. We don't get to just bury our head in the sand and run away from the hard decisions. Life is hard. I've lived an amazing life. When you've
Yeah.
talked about your thing, amazing life. Wouldn't
Yep.
trade it for the world.
Hell no.
And there's some hard stuff I've had to deal with. Been kicked in the teeth, kicked in the face, stabbed in the back, right?
Yeah.
But that all forms who we are.
Yeah.
And the lessons and the scar tissue that we built from that. You can't at this age in the game, you can't like there's nothing we can't do or withstand. Guess what? Because we did it.
And what's amazing in our stage of our careers now is looking at that young folk. I just did it. I was on a client meeting and they asked me to just spend some time with a candidate.
Yeah.
And it was me 15 years ago. It was
Yes.
wild, Don. His kids were the exact same age my kids were. He was
Yes.
applying for the job that I got at one point in my life. And I'm like,
This
oh
is the-
man. And he asked, and he was considering the jump that I'm like, it was,
Yeah.
and I'm like, gosh, that prepared me for this moment to
Absolutely.
tell this
Same.
guy, that it's going to be okay. That it's going to be okay. And this is the reasons why it worked for me and why, what the considerations are. And, I know that's been a big part of your going to the PA, right? Allowed you access to, and I know in talking to Chris, some of the work that you've done while at the PA and now what you've focused your mission on is like helping people understand how to prepare for what's next, not just living in the moment. Because we all know, right? That's been one of the biggest stories around professional athletes, but really you see it a lot in the NFL. I mean, a lot of the guys that I got to work with a ton of former players. And that was one of the things they all talked about where I was fortunate to work with some guys who were very, very smart and they were good with their money and they paid attention and they would talk about friends who were not, right. And who were indifferent. And I know that was a passion of you and still probably is still a passion of yours, like helping people be smarter about the way they go about their business.
At the end of the day, agency is what I want everyone in life, but athletes, C-suite leaders, all of us as individuals, you need agency. I want to be in control of my life. I want options. Agency comes with options, right?
Okay.
I also want authority. I want to dictate my future, right? I don't want somebody else dictating. Well, I know that was why you made that shift. I made that shift. I'm like, no, I'm done having someone else dictate my day. I'm gonna dictate my own day.
Sure.
Right. But then
I tell everybody the
for me-
biggest shift, the biggest shift was somebody when you work in corporate telling you where you're going to go next week versus someone calling and asking if you're available to join them.
Exactly right. But then you have that authority now, right? Over everything. And I think with those, and then the last one is like being authentic. Like you got to be authentically you. And when one of the reasons why I decided to leave, one of the main reasons that really helped to make that decision was I was no longer being authentically me.
Yeah.
Not only was I not growing, I felt like I got stagnant, which means I wasn't getting better.
Yep.
And then we have seasons of that.
Sure.
But I was growing bitter.
Yeah.
Now, when you start growing bitter, now I'm showing up like somebody who wasn't me, right? And now you're talking about legacy that you leave. Now you start tainting your legacy, right?
Yep.
And you stay too long, and leaders do this. C-suite, we stay a little too long because of comfort, because fear, have courage, or something. And I just remember very vividly, just in I know it was recent in the recent history, but it's just like, no, I'm not leaving here bitter. Right?
I came up with this thing the other day, and I was like, everybody talks about FOMO, fear of missing out. I'm like, I called this one FOA, fear of walking away, FOWA, right?
I saw that.
You think about it, that logo on your chest, right, starts to become part of your identity, right?
Absolutely.
All those years in the PA, you're now Don Davis from PA, right? You used to be Don Davis NFL, but now you're and like when you say him on the corporate side, right? Like you're that person, and that
Absolutely.
pause that people give you feels so good, but then you
Yes.
self-reflection of like, well, what's it really getting me?
That's right. And I think you hit on it, Wayne. Identity. It is part of it, and that is a part of my history.
Sure.
People know me. They like Don Davis in the PA. Like people
Mhm,
would be like, "Who?" If you call the PA, oh, call my dude Don. That's great.
mhm.
That's legacy, right? That's but you move on, and now you've hopefully what I believe is then the succession plan was there. People are there. The team is great. They're gonna do great. And then you create little mini disciples, and then they
That's
go
it.
and do, and then they take it further than you can, right?
I when I
So
left
yeah,
the Padres, like, that was my biggest thing. I was like, "It's set up for success." I've built
it's
it, like,
set
and
up
I'm
for
so proud of the people. I'm proud of the systems. I'm proud of all the work that we've done and the brand that we've built. Now
success.
take it to another level, add some
Take it
more
to another
creative, like,
level.
different creative vision, and, like, they people always ask me, like, "Oh, are you happy for their success?" Absolutely. It was
Yes,
just time for me to have a new chapter, and I saw that coming and wanted
that's
that
it.
for me, and I try to help people understand that, and you look, pl you said that something that really stuck with me, which is
Yeah,
you look around and you see those folks that stayed a little too long, right? And I had this moment because
yeah,
in sports, in baseball at least, and I think they have these one per clubs, right? So like there's one marketer per club in this big market, right? And you're representing your team. And I
yeah.
looked around the room, and there were only 5 of us talking
Mm,
because we were the ones kinda innovating and pushing, and then I looked around and there was a lot of people just taking notes,
yeah,
and all when I started to size it up, I'm like, "They're all just hanging on. They're all
yeah,
waiting for a ring," right? Like, I got it. Like, for me, a ring
yeah.
wasn't gonna define my career because I didn't do what you do, right? That's different for you. For me,
Mhm.
like on the marketing side, like, yeah, it'd be cool, but, like, that'd be amazing. I'd love to be part of it, but, like, that's not good. That in my for my happiness, that wasn't part
Yeah,
of the equation, so I had to make that decision and look around, and when you see it, that's again, that exposure. I got exposed and I looked around. I'm like,
yeah.
oh, I see what's happening here. I don't want to be that guy that everybody's looking at going, why is he still here?
That's it. That's it. That's it. And when you start to realize, I take it. I use that what you just said. I think it drew to my attention something I say all the time. Like there's a difference they talk about between a job and a career. So a job is like a check, get a check,
Yep.
clock in, clock out. A
Yep.
career, you still get a check, but you like building like something right there. But
Mhm.
after that, for me, but beyond the career piece, instead of just sitting around waiting for the next, marker that I've clicked
Mhm.
off, it's about the calling.
Yep.
And if I'm not getting better and I'm growing better, there's no way that I'm inhabiting and
Yep.
living out my calling.
Yep.
Right.
I love it.
So that was me, man. It's just like you got to move on.
Well,
Yeah. So,
yeah,
and it kind
you
of goes
gotta
into I was going to say, it kind of goes into the
yeah,
thing you were talking about, like the lesson. It's the next play,
that's
the
it.
next play. Okay, so I think about this all the time. The lessons that I took from NFL, man,
Yeah.
from my days playing, no matter how good a play is, touchdown or bad a play is, turnover, you got to go to the next play, right? And what hurts a player in that moment is how short or long their memory is.
It's a good
If
point.
my memory's long, no matter if it's a good play or a bad play, I can get beat.
Yeah.
The percentage likelihood that I'm gonna get beat goes up because I'm focused in
Mm.
the wrong thing, right? You gotta be
Yeah.
focused on that next play. So going to that, like that, the check versus the career versus the calling, I'm looking at the neck. Yeah, I didn't get there
Yeah.
are a few things that were still left on that list.
Mhm.
And look, maybe in 3 or 5 years or 10, maybe I would have gotten it. Maybe or maybe not.
Sure.
But then, man, you just sitting there. One, it is not to my calling, which is leaving that legacy and that's of success. But number two, it's like it's not the next play. I'm wired. My frameworks and everything's all about what's next.
Mhm.
We have a windshield and a rear view mirror for a reason. We need to look forward. We can't drive looking at the rear view mirror.
No, and there's a reason why one is way bigger than the other one.
It's like 10 times the size. We are
Mhm.
going forward. It's about the next play. No matter
Yeah.
where you are in life, you got to move on. Now, there's another side of that too.
Mhm.
So if you're always looking at the next play, similar wired, right? My calling is that, and it's not, and I'm no longer at the PA and anything, but it'll be the next. Now it's D3 leadership. Now it's, and then,
Mhm.
and so what happens then? You're not, you can't, you can't be, or sometimes it can hurt you from living in the present.
Yep.
I'm
Yep.
always thinking about the next. I'm always thinking about the future, right? I'm telling you, don't think about the past. Okay, Don. Okay,
Yeah.
great. Yep, that makes sense. I get it. But now it's like I don't take time to be present
Yeah.
and in
Yeah.
this current moment. And so both of those, that tension of next play, right? But also current play. There's that tension there. I want to be prepared for the next play, but I want to let me have an experience.
Yeah.
Let me be present in this current play. And so anyway,
No, it's
that's
a good because it's purpose.
but
Like that's a big one for me. We're very similar in that regard.
yeah,
Of I've had to really focus on in being reflective in the present, and it's one of the things
yes,
my business partner Katie always. I'll text her. She does not, right, and I'll always text her. She'll be like, you know what, man, like. Thank you for making me stop for a moment because that was pretty
yes,
cool what we just did. And like, she's
yes,
on to the next one. And like, because that's the way she's wired and I love it. And then my
yep,
job is to like kind of now in our kind of relationship is like, I've got to let us stop for a second and be like, hey,
that's
what
right,
we just did, we've been working really hard. I mean, and that was a moment. We had a
it's
moment.
good,
And I think that's really important because if you don't appreciate them, you're not feeling like you're accomplishing that mission, right? You're not,
that's right,
I'm going after my calling, like, hey, that was a notch in our belt right there. We just did something
yeah,
special and we should, you know,
absolutely,
and I one of the things, the sort of brand of this podcast is the lessons from sports, and we do that right on the consulting side. You've bring the full package of this conversation, which is like, you get into a sales meeting, you'll hear people use sports analogies all day
yeah,
long, and
yeah,
but the experiences of the parallels between a sports team and a corporate environment are, I mean, they're pretty strong. I mean, you
yeah,
you can speak to it. It's pretty similar. Now,
yep,
very different individuals, but the makeup of the individuals
yes.
mentally, there's a lot of similarity at the highest levels of big
That's
organizations.
absolutely right. Everything, and whether it's you're in the classroom, whether you're in the boardroom, right, or you're on the playing field, locker room, there's a set of foundational principles. A lot of them are they're pretty similar, right?
Mhm.
And then there are certain fundamentals that you practice. You just repetition again, similar.
Yeah.
And then it's the frameworks. That's what we carry. Those are the lessons. We have life. Life gives us lessons. We
Yeah.
can turn those lessons into language, and then that language can help leave a legacy if we do it the right way and we apply it and we teach it, right? It's gold, man. So that's I just believe, Wayne, my one of my fundamental beliefs is there's greatness in everybody, right?
Yeah.
Because from my biblical roots and
Yep.
background is, God is great and
Yep.
God's inside of us. Oh, guess what? I'm great, right? But instead, so there's greatness in
We all
everybody.
have
And
greatness. Yeah.
we're all so unique, right? 7 billion people on the planet. It's only one with the DNA that I have. Period.
Right.
There's one. And we in them one, right? We can be
Yep.
similar like somebody, look like somebody. We can have some genetic makeup that's similar. But at the end of the day, there's only one Dr. Don Davis Jr. Period. Right? There's I'm greatness. There's greatness in me. There's greatness in you. There's greatness in every human being, no matter what you accomplish. And here's the greatest thing about that: greatness isn't tied to what I do,
Mhm.
it's tied to who you are.
Right.
Right? So
Right.
now how do we just become aware of that greatness? That's what I try to spend my life doing. My purpose is to make sure that everyone knows
Yeah.
that their greatness is there. They can access it because sometimes it's one thing to know something, it's another thing to access it. But
Mhm.
then, which is the sweet spot of my experiences, my education, my exposure is how do we accelerate that? How is it we put it on a rocket ship
Mhm.
so that we can fly even higher, right? And that's a lot of it. Everything that we have, everything I believe is right in us. It's
Yeah.
out there for the taking, right? We just got to access it. We got to just add something to it. It's a
Yeah.
plus, and then let's see where this goes.
I'll tell you something that has become really clear to me in the last few months as I've been digging into companies and spending time with
Yeah,
employees, executive, at all levels, from ownership down. what I've discovered is, and this was just a moment, it happened in my life. So it was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But I had never really put it into a framework
Mhm.
before.
Yeah.
The time between you graduate high school, you go to college, do your thing. The next chapter for you, that 21 to 30 window, is a
Yes.
moment in time where you will make some decisions, maybe call it 18, 19 to that 28, 29,
Yes.
where people are gonna make decisions in that window that are gonna affect the rest of their lives.
Absolutely.
So, the leaders they choose, right? So, I can look back and I've been working with some employees who have all the skills and all the things. They had bad leadership, and the bad
Right.
leadership did not prepare them to operate professionally, do things the
Yeah.
right way, and you're going, "Oh my god, this poor kid is so far behind because of this other
Yeah.
person that was," and I know for you, right? You talk about the coaches that you may have at that time,
Absolutely.
and the people around you, the teammates that are either gonna help you go in the right direction
Yeah.
or make some bad choices. We all know the people that they
Yeah.
all have the same core of this DNA, but there were
Absolutely.
some choices made that just sent them, and it's because of the people around them that they chose to be in their
Yeah.
circle.
And I wanted for encouragement, because I do agree with everything you
Yeah.
said. Encouragement for those who, because I've had periods of like this as well, where there are no good leaders around me, or what I interpret is right. So
Yeah.
then I don't want to be a defeatist that okay that you're screwed. No,
No.
I've learned just as much from the poor leaders, the bad leaders, that I
Oh,
did
yeah.
from my good leaders.
Oh, yeah.
But it's about the perspective
Yep.
and the perseverance to get through it.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Because bad leadership, you're right, can make it a grind.
Yeah. And
But
it can stall you, right? Like you got
absolutely,
stalled. That's okay. You can put more gas in the tank. You can pick
absolutely.
their next chapter. Make sure I had this guy I met. He was really cool. And he was working at an agency. And he was like, dude, when I got to my agency, like, and I was in a big city, I was the only black person in the agency. And he's
Mhm.
like, I walked in and was like, oh, what did I just sign up
Yes.
for? Right. And he goes, I don't know what came over me, but they were like, "We love you. We want you to be here. Which department do you want to focus in?" Right? And he said, I don't know what came over me, but he said, "Which department has the best leader that I can learn from? The skill doesn't matter to me,
There you
right? I
go.
want this." And he goes, "Now I've ascended through my career. Now he's running DE&I at a huge agency, and he's like on this mission to show people that finding the right leaders and the people who can actually embrace you
Yeah.
and grow you up." Like that one question changed everything for him. And he's like, I didn't plan it. It just sort of happened in the moment.
And
But
that's
like,
yeah.
what an amazing moment of show me who I'm going to learn the most from and put me there.
Yeah, and that good kudos to him for having the courage, right, and the commitment to himself to be able to, ask that question or be prepared to
Yeah,
ask that question, right? Because oftentimes we can look at external validating things
that's
like
right.
how much is made, what's the title, this guy's who has the biggest presence, right?
Hmm.
And those things, all well and good sometimes, and there are perks. They can't always drive, uh, our reason, our why,
Right.
because they're just gonna fade. They're just gonna fade off, right? But it's got to be that internal motivation. And further to that point is, I thought about when you said that is, I think about this like pressure, pain, when you in a bad situation, all that is data.
Right.
Or not all, but it's data,
Yeah. Okay.
and it'll help me evaluate where I'm at,
Yep.
right? If um, iterate, right? If it's iterative, if this isn't quite working, because
Hmm.
what I'm going here, this is more than me just a perseverance thing. This is actually called a pain,
Hmm.
and I don't think I'm getting better. I'm getting sicker, right? So I think it's all data and it's all about just how our perspective, right?
Yep.
But how we take that data and interpret it in order to get our next move. There are the plans. It's great. Like Mike Tyson quote, right? Everybody got a plan till they get hit in the damn mouth,
Hmm.
right? And now you got, all of a sudden, the life's gonna hit you in the mouth.
Yep.
There've been a lot of
It sure did.
plans I
Yep.
had, and life hit
Yep.
me in the mouth.
Yep.
So we got to adapt. We got to adjust. What do we learn? What are the lessons? Well, let's pivot. Let's work on that pivot.
Take me through what the new organization, what you're working on and what that's
Yeah,
all about. Who are you targeting? Like, what are you trying to do? Explain it to me.
absolutely. Like I said, organizations and leaders, a lot of times I find just guess. They're
Yep.
putting in not even a system, they're putting in a framework. They're using
Mm.
a framework that's based on their experiences and
Yep.
maybe some education
Mhm.
or leaders that they were exposed to or things they were exposed to. And I wanted to build a consulting firm for those who don't want to guess or those who are tired of guessing,
Yeah.
right? Because leadership, just like life, success comes with a system.
Mhm.
It's an operating system.
Yep.
And that system has to be metricable, measurable. So
Mhm.
it's data. How do I know I'm a good leader? How do I know I'm building trust in the culture? How do I know that I'm hitting the thing, living up to my values?
Right.
I I need to have data.
Mhm.
That's what I'm doing. We're bringing the
Love it.
diagnostic so
Yep.
that you can have awareness. Once you have awareness, then you can have alignment, whether it's in leadership, whether it's in learning and development, whether it's
Mhm.
in culture, culture building and trust, or whether it's in change management. I just finished the pro side certification, so I'm now certified as a change practitioner. It's a system,
Yep.
right?
Yep. It
And
is.
so that's why I built the firm. I
Love it.
want to help leaders. So anyone is an individual, right? Needs these
Yep.
three things. All right, they need awareness, alignment, and accountability. Period. So it starts here first.
Yep.
The first thing, you can't lead anybody till you lead you. So we got to be master leaders of ourselves.
Mhm.
Then we got to be master leaders in our domain, or in our homes, or in there, and out in the world, or where we are, over the group that we are. And
Yep.
particularly the higher we go, like when we go to a higher elevation, the air gets a lot thinner,
Yep.
right? And as the air gets thinner, we can't afford to guess because now mistakes cost more,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So that's what we're
and,
doing. So we're
and
there.
impact more, right? Like you decisions you're making when you're higher up, it's just you. I joke all the time. Like when I was a kid, I had to worry about
Absolutely.
one person eating. Then
Absolutely.
I got married, I had two. Then I had kids, I had four. Now I run a business and I've got
That's
all
it.
these people that are counting on you.
That's
And you're
it.
like, every decision, you're right. It has a much bigger weight.
Much bigger
And
weight, right?
yeah.
And we're responsible. That's that accountability that we have to
Mhm.
have. You are responsible. We are responsible for the gifts, talents, and abilities that we have.
Yeah.
You are going to answer one day to yourself or to your maker, if you believe that, or regardless.
Yep.
How did you use your talents?
Mhm.
Did you waste them?
Yep.
Right? Are you going to look back with regret because you wasted it? Because you wish you woulda, coulda, shoulda?
Did, did you
Right?
use them selfishly or did you help others? Right?
Did
Like,
you
I
just
mean,
pour into you? Which that may be fine. I could
yeah,
do like I want to
do
be
you?
buried in my Corvette. Okay, great. I'm gonna be buried in my mansion that I built.
Sure.
Perfect. Sure. Right? Or are you like living it life to its fullest?
Mhm.
Right? Because you're leaving, you know you're flawed.
Mhm.
We're human, gonna make mistakes, but we don't want to make a catastrophe.
Mhm.
And when we have a system, when we are aware, when we are aligned and accountable, you're gonna make mistakes, but you're gonna go make a catastrophe that's gonna cost you your life or somebody else's, and the impact and influence that you leave adds 10, 20, 30x, right? And
Yep.
that's ultimately what you want. You want, I mean, the greatest thing about the me deciding to make my pivot
Yeah.
was those flowers that I got that would have been probably said at my funeral.
Right. That's amazing.
There
Yeah.
were, I mean, not that it
Yeah.
would touch
No,
me.
that's different. Yeah.
I got flowers on this side of the grave.
Mhm.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And it was an encouraging,
Right.
keep going,
No,
even more.
that's
So,
amazing. Yeah, to have that moment. Most people don't get that moment to
no,
feel that moment. And yeah, and
yeah,
it's funny too. One of the things I talk about when you do step away, right? And you step away from that big logo or that big
yeah,
title, right? It's
yeah,
scary, that fear of walking away. But when you get to the other side of it and you're like, you realize who the real ones are. Like the people who are, hey man, Like I tell everybody, there were people who I knew would have my back, had my back. There were people I thought would have my back that did not. And then there were people I didn't even think of that came out of the woodwork to be like, what can I do? How can I help? And you're
That's
like,
right.
wow, there are so many people that want to help me right now. And
Absolutely.
that felt, I mean, amazing.
Yeah, this and also too, the other lesson I learned is, and I got one right here. It's fun. And I know I'm gonna do this. You don't know how heavy that backpack is until you put it down, and you're like, huh. But there's a lot of bricks in that backpack.
Right.
And wait, I don't have to carry that anymore.
Yeah.
No, somebody. And so now, right now, it's another backpack with different bricks, but it's more intentional and thoughtful. And I have agency. I have authority and autonomy to work with people where our values are congruent, to help people who are willing to listen, right? Feedback, I always talk about that, man. Everybody say they want feedback, right? Until they get it sometimes. Right?
Right.
And then they're like, whoa, why did you say that? You said you wanted feedback, right?
Yeah.
But oftentimes, what we don't want feedback, we want praise.
Right.
I don't look. I get
That
it.
is so
I
true.
want. I want it. I want it. And I'm gonna give credit where credit is due. But
Course.
look, I don't. This new world that we live in, where everybody gets a trophy, that's not life. I get it. I know. Oh, we want to build self-esteem in our children. And so when they're all teens, we're not going to keep score. Everybody gets a trophy. Great. And that makes them feel good right now in this moment. But now when they get 10 years from now and everybody don't get no trophy and they have to be accountable for what they do, and now they're like, where's my trophy? Now you set that kid, how you set those kids back, right? So anyway, I
No,
digress.
that
but
is, you're 100% right. I mean, it's just a different, and like, then they get into the workforce and God, I remember my first job, I had an intern who was like, all right, so I was at a radio station. It was like, wait, what do you mean I've got to carry all those boxes? I thought I was going to be on the air. Like, how does this help me get ready to be an on-air personality? I'm like,
yes.
it's called work, man. I don't know what to tell you. Like, I did it. Like, you're gonna
Yes.
do it, and like that's how this goes. And it's just like,
Yeah.
no, but I should be the vice president of programming by now,
Right.
Like, well, no.
Yeah, I learned that lesson as soon when I left in '07. So I coached for a couple years, but
Okay.
after that, I was like, all right, I'm gonna go a step back to my thought. At that time, I thought I was going like full ministry route. And so I was an executive pastor, but I was, with a lot of those, it was a pretty big church, but it was kind of volunteer, you're giving your time and that. But I was at the executive level, right? And
Sure.
lesson I'll never forget, right? I mean, leadership team, executive level. Okay, executive is okay, great. And they was like, okay, we need to, do parking this weekend. I'm like, what? Parking? Oh, hey, and this weekend you need to do greeting. And then you need to do kids.
Love it.
I was like, wait, what?
That's it.
Yeah, right.
Starting at the
And
bottom.
it was a great
Yes.
lesson. It doesn't matter your title.
Yep.
And that has stayed with me
Me too.
to this day, no matter how much I've come up. I was in a college locker room recently, and we're talking about money stuff, and and it amazed me. I saw the team; it's a new coach. They're in the SEC. It's going, they should do pretty well. It's the little things though. It's leadership. So they're all in there, coaches, everybody, administrators, all the tick players. We're there for an hour and 15. Right, boom, kids are leave. They all leave. They go to the next thing, and I go back, and there's one coach who's over there, like he's over the development of that. He's going through and he's picking up bottles, throwing them in the trash. That is he's the leader.
That's
right?
the leader.
So but then there's another one again. I'm gonna hopefully work with this team with the coach because I'm like, greatness leaves clues. If you're not going to be accountable in the little things, pick up your own damn trash.
Yes.
How can you say, oh, coach, I'm gonna be ready when it's 3rd and 1? I'm on defense and I need to stop, or I'm that running back. I need to get it. I'm gonna get it. Yeah, but you didn't when the lights weren't on.
Nobody was
was looking. You didn't. I'm telling you now. You might, but again, it's circumstantial. It's your happenstance. You're guessing. You're assuming instead of preparing. Again, if I work with this team, the first thing is you gonna pick up your damn trash. Period.
100.
You a grown man. Y'all getting paid, and you need to be accountable in this program. because
Yep.
integrity and character is one of my values. Hello.
There was a clip going viral the other day. It was the UCLA football coach. And did you see that clip where
I didn't
he
see
was
the
like,
clip. I
it
saw
was
the
cool.
thing.
Okay, because he was like, okay, what's the name of the person who handles our laundry? What's the name of the person who cooks our food? I want you to know. I want you to know their name. I want you to know their family. They're part of our team too. It's this. Everybody come back down. We're in this together. It was one of the biggest things that I found on the team side. The players that I was very fortunate. I worked with some amazing players, and the relationships we had was because I treated them with respect, but not this, like, they weren't on a pedestal. You're a pro, just like I'm a pro. I had this conversation with a guy early. I said, hey, just so you know, you worked your butt off to get here. So did I. So did I, right? We both got here. Cool. Now I'm here to help you. Like, I got your back. And we just built this bond where he was like, all right, we're cool. Let's go. And then he had my back in that locker room because he was like, hey, dude, this guy's got our back. What do you want? Like, talk to him like a professional. Don't be a crybaby and coming over here complaining. Professional. You're a professional. And like, you watch the dynamic in the room changes if you just treat people with respect, and those are the teams that go. You can just feel it, you can see it.
That's part of my core DNA. It's part of what makes me authentic and what had me built the credibility that I had, right? And the competency. I was very good at my job. One of the things that made me that way, particularly in NFL and throughout there, was the star Hall of Famer, future Hall of Famer, and the 14th man on the practice squad. They all the same.
That's it.
All the same. I went in the locker room. I started on one side, and my goal was to go around that locker room. Again, and that mentality is everybody's the same. We all put our pants on. Yeah, we're going to acknowledge what you did. Of course, you're the GOAT. I can't do what you did. This person can't do what you did. Amazing. And this one who's up and coming, you were in that shoe, mate, or somewhere similar, right? You weren't that big shot then, so you're the same. That's the same thing I'm taking to D3 leadership.
I love that.
I see. So when you ask the coach, I say it just for context and clarity. I say Fortune 5 C-suite leaders, mostly just because the higher you rise, the pressure is there. And I think it's those people where they're very isolated and alone, similar to some athletes that I know that, and the pressure and complexity of the job, and how you have wear a lot of hats, and that you're accountable for stuff you didn't even know about, but it happened under your watch, right? I know that life. Yep. I know what that feels like, and that's a special skill. So I say that so that there's your gear, but anyone all of us have pressures at whatever level it is. We can have that backpack is still heavy, got the same amount of bricks in it, and they may weigh the damn same based on where I am at that position, right? I don't have to be at the C-suite. I may be a manager at a club.
That's it.
And we're getting our ass kicked. And the coach is getting fired, and I've been through 4 or 5 coaches, and all this. Like there's pressure.
Here
Life
we go again.
is hard. Even when you get your dream job.
Yep.
Life is hard, and there are decisions that got to be made. But at the end of the day, if we just keep pressing, stick to who we are as individuals, the foundational principles, right? And we have these key fundamentals that we just do, blocking and tackling every day. The game of football, and similar to leadership, you gotta block somebody, you gotta score points, right? And you gotta not have penalties. Great. And in the corporate world, it's the same thing. I do a talk on how to transfers the locker room to the boardroom, right? And it starts in the locker room with possession. If I'm on the football field, I need possession. What do I need to possess in the corporate world? There are some keys that you need, right?
Yep.
I need points. Because you had the ball the whole time, but you don't score no points, you lost. What points do I need to score? And what does that look like, right? And at some point, you're gonna get stopped, you gotta punt, and you gotta play defense. So it's about punts. That's gonna happen over here. But then what you want to eliminate, the last one, penalties. They kill you. Right? So what are the penalties in the corporate
self-inflicted wounds? You did it. Yep. I love it. Dude, I got to tell you, this is the first podcast I've done where I threw my format out the window. I just ignored it. I just kept going,
sorry.
man. No, it was amazing. Thank you so much. I don't want to take you over time, but I just wanted to say thank you. I'm I know like we just met, but
Yeah.
the 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 inspiration that you give people by doing what you've done for the reasons you did it and why you did it
Yes.
and what you're going to do next, right?
Yeah.
Shows people. I hear it from folks now. I'm now 6-7 years into, I quit my job 6 years ago, and the people that come up, it's amazing to me that go, I can't believe you did it. I can't believe
Yeah.
you, like, who would do that, right? And
Yeah.
and just know that sharing that, and I know you do. I see you on LinkedIn sharing it, and it is impacting people that you may not even hear from. That so congratulations on doing it. Two incredible careers already, and on to the
Thank you.
next chapter. So congratulations and thanks for taking the time.
I appreciate it, man. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me on.